27th, I've got 7 o'clock. So, let us convene. We're on at 7 o'clock on the 27th of November. This is the Jamaica Selectboard. First order of business is to call for any late additions, and there's 2 things that have come up. One we talked about, the other one is I've been asking, Dana West, who's the chief of the Jamaica Fire Department, to come and speak to us now for several months. And his schedule, because he is way, way too busy for a man of his age, finally squeezed himself free this evening, so I said, yeah, come on over. That's all I had. Is there anything else that we need to add to the agenda?
I tried to call Wednesday, but it was too late.
Yes.
About the transfer station.
Okay, is this something we need to do before next session?
Does it have anything to do?
No, what I'm trying to do is, I've been getting some grief about adding things that we didn't.
I know, I tried on Wednesday, but
Yeah.
I didn't know that it had ended on Tuesday.
Well, let's go with it. What is it you want to do?
It's not gonna take long.
Good.
Transfer station,
Transfer station.
not long at all.
Okay, good. That's good. I've been reminded by a number of people that we are supposed to save those things for things that happen suddenly and that need to be dealt with.
Okay.
I have one thing I'd like to add.
What's that?
Which is to have BDCC and Wyndham Regional send speakers to our informational meeting. They would like to be invited by the select board rather than just by me. The meeting that's informational for the feasibility
You're
study.
talking about the 3rd of January.
Yeah, and I need to give them enough time to,
Okay, we'll put that on.
that shouldn't take very long.
But do we have to act on that?
Let's discuss it.
If we have to act on it, then it should be tabled to the next meeting. Anything that we're gonna add to the meeting now, if it's just informational stuff, that's fine, but if it's something we're gonna have to act on, we have to table it to the next meeting.
Okay, if we don't have, let's see what the next meeting is.
So if it's not, if it's just something, just discussion and no action, we
Yeah,
can do it
that's
tonight.
basically mine.
Okay, let's talk about it when we get to it, and then if we can't act, I mean, if we have,
Okay.
I think that an invitation would be an act, and since it's the 3rd of January is when the meeting takes place, so let's talk about it. Okay, first order of business, well, actually, second. Approve the minutes of the November 13th Select Board meeting and the November 13th Town Plan hearing. We have on the same date. The first order is the Town Plan hearing. These were all sent to you electronically. Does anybody have any additions, deletions, corrections? I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Thank you. And you have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. The November 13th minutes are accepted as presented. The next order of minutes of the November 13th, this was the select board meeting. This was the meeting after the hearing. Again, they were all sent out electronically. Have any of you got any additions, deletions, corrections, expansions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
Do I have a second? Okay, holding.
A second.
I have a second. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Yes.
just about the road commissioner resignation,
I'm sure what page are you on?
on the second page of the.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm just gonna read it.
Okay.
Paul Fraser announced that Lexi Clark has resigned as road commissioner and Amy Point is willing to accept the position. Joel Blooming thought it should be posted for the public like planning commission vacancies. Paul, Judith, and Andy felt it should stay within the select board. Well, I probably obviously thought it was a good idea that it stayed within the select board, but I believe I said something like, I'll go along with whatever the select board wishes.
Okay.
If that makes any difference.
I could just put Paul and Judith felt it should stay within the select board.
Right. Yeah, that, I remember that. I don't remember expressing that word for word.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was interested in
try to summarize the general feeling, and that seemed to be it. But if you want to I can just take your name out of that statement.
That's all right.
Should we add Andy concurred or not?
No, I just said that I would just go along with whatever this board wanted, however they wanted to handle it. I thought that's what I said,
Yep.
but it was obvious that I understand why it was written that way.
All right, we're just gonna drop out the Andy felt it should.
So just Paul and Judith felt.
Just Andy. Yeah. Gotcha.
I move we accept the November 13th minutes.
As amended.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
That's
Have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any other further corrections? Then they are accepted. Thank you, sir. Fix mine here. Okay. The usual timesheets and select board orders, number 3 and 4, will be done at the end of the session, so you all aren't having to sit around waiting for the signs. I do want to point out for number 5 that we have a new town road department employee. His name is Bill Flood. He has extensive experience running the kinds of equipment that we have, plows and wings, backhoes and that sort of stuff. And he will start on December the 4th. And we're really happy to have him. Okay. All right, next order of business. We're going to move things just a little bit. As I said earlier, I've been asking for Dana West, who's the chief of the fire department, to come and speak to us for months, but his schedule was way too much. But I finally squeezed him today, and he's here. So I'd like to go to him first.
It is that time of year, and I want to be the first department to show up with a budget. I want money to provide you fire and rescue service, so.
Thank you, sir.
Stand still so he can get a picture of your back.
Yeah, advertising. This year, we are probably asking for about $3,000 less than what we did last year. We've sort of trimmed the fat, as you might say. We had energy efficient. The guys come in and we redid all our lights, made some massive money savings, removing all our old lighting, the old fluorescent lights, and we've added LEDs, and we got some pretty good money rebates back there and saving money on our power. We cut some of our budget in areas like with rescue. We didn't need so much because with rescuing down the road, we're not spending much on medical supplies. It kind of has a catch-22 there. We're not really needed as much with them just down the road. I do not quite know the future of Jamaica Rescue because we just not needed as much. So we reduced a little bit there. And we just kind of, cleaned up some of trimmed the fat a little bit. And there will be some expenditures next year. The building is 20 years old plus. We have to do some repairs and siding and make some woodworking repairs. Some of the trim work is rotting. Also, I'm gonna have to look into purchasing some fire gear. Some of our gear is getting 10 years old and is, it limits what we can do to provide for fire service. As far as interior, I mean, we're putting our people at risk. So we may have to upgrade our fire gear, our bunker, PPE, protective gear, plus our SCBAs are getting close to hitting their marks. That's self-contained breathing apparatus, what we wear to go in. We're trying to do with the funds we have in play, and trying to see if we can get the firefighters assistance grant, but there are some details I'm not quite sure we can pass. They're really strict on where they give out these grants, and you really have to have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. We're not totally compliant So it will be probably difficult to get through that way, but if we can somehow clear those hurdles, then we'll be able to get some assistance there. It might help with getting more people outfitted with better gear than limited to like 2 or 3 outfits. Kind of basing that on experience and training for those people who get the best. Those will be the ones that are assigned to go inside. I have a very small core group of people that can do that are trained at that level. It's hard getting people to do the volunteer work with 200 plus hours to be a firefighter 1 certified. Everybody's got lives and jobs, and it's very difficult. The states, they say they'll try to get, work with us to make it happen, but it's, their hands are tied, our hands are tied, so it just doesn't happen. But we're doing the best we can. We've so far have 137 calls this year, 149 last year, so we're a little under. I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood. Yeah, I know. But we are answering the calls, and we are getting out there, whether it's 2 people or 10 people. We're still answering the calls. I'm hoping that, you guys will approve of my budget. I'm looking for $98,791. We're being very conscientious of how we're spending our money.
We always have that.
Yeah, we always have that.
And we're careful.
But we-
spend it on a lot.
We're re-looking at things, reevaluating like insurances, and we've done it with our gas or propane. We're always reevaluating our expenditures just to make sure we're getting the best that we can and at a decent cost, so we're not just blindly spending money. But
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
There was some recent work done to the sidings of the buildings.
yeah,
Who did that?
I did.
So we can say that we have, in addition to all of our other assets, slave labor. Because you did it yourself.
I did what you call a Band-Aid fix. There's actually duct tape covering holes. I went out and found white duct tape, and I made the purchase myself out of my own pocket just to put
It's
it
not
on.
Band-Aid, that's regular Vermont.
That's regular Vermont, yeah. Yeah, that's Vermont ingenuity, I did everything but put bag balm on them to seal up the holes, then put the duct tape over them. But I used silicone, I screwed the things back on, but it's a temporary fix and it'll have to be properly addressed next year. What has happened is the snow's coming off the roof and it's building up and it's popping the siding off its nails. And the other day I patched a whole sheet on the back of the firehouse that was like going into it. And it was just coming off, and you expose that board underneath and rot sets in, and next thing you know, your firehouse is down around on the ground, it's falling apart, so.
Well, I think the point I'm trying to make though is that in this budget, what is not reflected is the tremendous amount of hours, man hours.
When it comes time for the town report, I keep track of everybody, all the meetings and all the trainings, and I will have a full report of how many hours have been put in by the personnel. It has been very extensive. We've been training really hard. We're actually training almost every Wednesday of the week. That's why when Paul says, I know you're busy, but can you come in? Mondays are probably my free nights. So it has been very tough to make all the trainings, which I have to as sort of chief. I kind of want to make sure that I'm there and I represent and make sure that people are, you lead by example. So I try to hit every training, but that takes a toll on your personal life. But we've been doing really good training. We've been working regionally. This West River Valley Training Group has taken off. We've added more towns to this training. Anybody wants to come play with us, we can. We invite it. And it's, the people are dedicated to go to them. They take time off in their personal lives and they 10. So, I hope that, everybody appreciates that. It's,
How's the equipment holding up, mainly trucks and?
well, today we've taken the trucks, they sit. They go out in wet weather and salt, especially during the winter time, and then they sit in a warm building. We've had to do some exhaust work because, we went to one call down the road and the exhaust fell off. So today we've sent the last of our fleet up north to be oil undercoated. About a month ago, we sent the oldest two, and then the newest two went today. So some of our guys took off from work to go do that. Spend a couple hours, spend a little money, but I think it'll be well worth it. We're trying to preserve what we can while we can. I got a fleet out there that's 2000, year 2000. My pumper tanker unit was like 2001. My newest is brush truck, and it's been like 2 or 3 years now. Time flies, and this equipment turn around and we got 20 years on it. I've already had one truck refurbished, pump wise, and that, as time flies and you forget about things, the company that refurbished that truck is no longer in business. So if we have to do repairs, I'm gonna have to find somebody else to do it. It's just been that long, and not everything lasts forever. So, down the road we may have to find somebody to help us if we need to do repairs. We hire locally local mechanics, Matt Coleman, a few others, to do our mechanical work. Try to keep it in the valley, not take off, go somewhere with it. Try to use local plumbers and electricians. Had to do emergency repair on a toilet. I did it myself. The toilet's crooked and leans, but we try to make do with what we can, and if we can't hire it out, we try to do it ourselves. But things are going well. We're working on policies and protocol and guidelines. State EMS requires, we got a new license, they got new rules coming out, and we have to have certain things into effect to maintain our EMS license. So we're working with the officers to sort out the priority protocols and policies that we need in place, so that way we're compliant start January 1st. I'm definitely gonna come up with a ramped up training program, especially for the EMS. There's more requirements. It's just 5 of us now. One's on medical leave, so trying to justify whether all this work is worth it, just to, when we don't get much patient contact anymore. Rescuing's right on top of the job. Kind of keep us around in case that one time that Brattleboro sucks them clean out of the valley. It was yesterday, they needed our help, and their backup was busy. So, in the EMS world, things are very busy. A lot of calls out there, and they're going all over. So, there is a need for us. We might actually get patient contact 1 time out of 10. Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep people interested when they don't have, they don't have patient contact. They're not doing their skills. So it's very difficult to keep people wanting to do it, keep it interesting. I'm trying to maybe develop a program where we get away from answering medical calls, let rescuing deal with that, and we kind of specialize in what we call fire department rehab, fireman rehab. So we maintain our EMT and EMR licenses. It's only, we offer up a service that, say Townsend has a structure fire, our sole job would be to take care of the firefighters on scene. We don't deal with, patient care. We deal with taking care of firefighters, and we specialize in that. So it's more in depth. I can bring that up later. I know you guys got a lot to do, but I'm trying to take it maybe in that direction. Maybe build a program around where we feel useful and actually taking care of our own people. So got a little added incentive there. I want to finish up, I know this may not be time or place for it, but I know you guys have been looking into the water study, water sewer. And on behalf of the fire department, I would like you to take in consideration of adding fire protection to a water system, see if it's feasible or not. The other day, the river shifted where our dry hydrant is, and is now we're able to use our dry hydrant. 2 or 3 months ago, we weren't able to use the dry hydrant in town, and my water sources for fire protection in the village are almost non-existent.
Is that the one right out front?
The one, no, that one leaks. That's half full all the time, and that leaks. If you get it really full, it leaks into the old Daggett house over here, into their basement, or used to. We did some work on it about 10, 15 years ago to seal it up, but you can't get all the cracks, so it builds up. But with the way the river shifts all the time in our dry hydrant by the firehouse, and the ability to get down into the river, we don't have any good, safe ways of getting down into the river. So if there's any opportunity to add better protection to the town, it's a source of water, I would really, please, I want you to give it consideration of adding it when you look into the feasible studies and whoever's doing it, to have them look into the possibility of that being, price tags, whatever. Because my plan, if something happened, if a building, we have old buildings in the village. Let's just say if one of those caught really on fire and really got going, it would be a defensive mode all the way. You might lose 1, 2, 3, they're too tight. It would take a very aggressive, I need a lot of help here in a big hurry and a lot of water coming to make an even defensive stand. So an aggressive, I need water, and I need it available, and I need a good source. I need hydrants. So would appreciate it if you could add that to that part. No, definitely, just.
Well, thank you for making us aware. That's something I hadn't thought of. That's good.
Yeah.
My only, my brother, when he was chief, he said his backup plan was an excavator. Maybe
Well, it's not good for that.
you rubble and destroy to prevent further thing, and I don't want to really do that. What this was at the time, so.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yes.
Thanks for, I don't know who you gypped out of your time tonight, but thank you for us.
My daughter.
Aw, sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We've got a couple of other quick things. I passed out, the town of Jamaica has a winter operation policy that we've been updating, and it does not have to be done tonight. We get into winter here in the next 20 minutes. We don't know for sure when winter clear's coming, but I wanted to pass these things out for you. If you all wanted to approve them tonight, fine. If not, the next meeting is going to be December the something. Was it the 4th? No, the 11th. That'll be the one, we're only going to have one meeting in December. But that'll be winter, so it's up to the board whether they want to act on it tonight, or I wanted you guys to have it to look over, if you want to look it over. There's not a lot of substantial changes. There's a couple little things, like for example, we just today took possession of the riding snow blower. You'll see that's number 6 on the equipment page. So we traded the walk behind in for the tractor, and we received that today, and the guys are setting it back up. Yeah, that was lucky we found that one. But anyway, we'll leave it up to y'all to decide whether you want to do it tonight or you want to do it later.
I
Any
think
thoughts?
that something should be said, and, we follow the state. The highway department strive to keep the roads safe for the traveling public. However, the town does not, in black letters, extra black, have a bare roads policy. Roads may be snow covered during and following storm events. So just the whole state has that, I believe, the interstate.
I think there's some towns that scrape down to the ground.
Well, I'm just saying that that's in this policy. and I think
You're saying the state does scrape down?
No.
It does not?
They don't on the interstate.
And how
No,
about-
we-
no.
It's always on the news that sometimes is a problem, but that's in this policy too. That was one thing.
Yes.
I think the rest of it is,
It's
it's
what
fine.
we've been
if
following,
we-
it's been what we've been following for years.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing,
It's just one of those things that needed to be updated a little bit.
Right.
How about the, on top of the second page, if the sidewalk is on your property? Is that made clear to all of the village people?
it just says if it is a priority for you. I don't think that it means, do you mean, does it mean that they have to shovel their sidewalks or?
Yeah.
I don't think so, I think.
No, it
if-
says if it's a priority for you.
If you need to walk down before we can get to it,
Yeah,
shovel it.
Oh.
yeah.
But in many towns, you're in charge of your own
Right.
sidewalk.
We don't have that for an ordinance in Jamaica.
New York City,
Is there a reason Brattleboro doesn't have that? Brattleboro, you have to clean off.
is that so?
Yes.
Yeah, we've never had that
No, we don't. I know
here.
we don't
Usually
have
people in the past have taken care of their own sidewalks.
a little piece.
Now they seem to want somebody else to take care of it instead of doing
Yeah,
it with the
that's
shovel or
right.
whatever.
Should we make
And
that?
we've spoiled them by doing that, which,
Well, if we were to
It
change
doesn't-
this, we'd have to present it to the town.
Right.
I think that would be a different ordinance than this.
Yeah.
right.
We'd have to rewrite
I mean, we're doing
like
it
certificate
now.
of surgery.
We might as well. We have to do it for the new sidewalk anyway. That's a federal law that because of our new sidewalks.
Yeah.
So we just extended it to the village as a courtesy. So if people can't wait for our person that's doing the snow blowing of the, removing the snow of the sidewalks in town, they can take their shovels and do it themselves. If they want to wait for us to come, then they can wait. It's up to them how they feel.
I move we adopt this winter, Town of Jamaica winter operations policy.
Can I just, it wasn't on the agenda, can you?
Because we're acting on it. We can't.
You can't act on
Oh,
it.
okay.
We'd have to table it and act on it next time.
Next time, that's correct.
Yeah, that's good, thank you for,
Is that really a hard and fast rule?
I'm not
Yes, it
sure.
is.
I'm generally pressing her.
It is, I've got it here.
It seemed to be a theme of the night that we didn't want to bring anything up.
It's,
so.
No,
Yeah,
I've been
you
trying to
did,
type it
so
out.
It was on.
You're right, you're exactly right. No, it's
It's,
something I just added.
No, I've got it here. I'll find it, but you can
Sure.
keep going on. Don't
But
worry.
this gives us a heads up, we know what
Yeah.
direction we're going, and I'll put it on the agenda for the 11th of December.
Sounds
But I want y'all to have a copy of it anyhow, and I think that she brings up a good point.
Yep.
But she generally does. So next year, she's gonna be in charge. Okay, the next item of business is, the fire department got to that, you'd asked to talk to the transfer station issue.
Yes, actually, I want to say a great big thank you to all of the people in the community. We have sent out flyers on the organic garbage, and it is going really, really well. People are really looking at what they can put into their compost and what they can bring into the totes. We used to have it would take 3 days or maybe even 4 days to fill one of those totes. Now we have one that's filling every day and going 1.5, so it is great. And the major thing is that it's reducing the amount of trash that's going in. So I just wanted to say to the whole community, thank you and keep up the good work in doing that.
Thank you, ma'am.
I found it. Can we go back for just a half a second? This
Sure.
is under that open meeting law that we had the gentleman come down and speak, that Jill wanted him to come down, and it talks about can we add items to an agenda after it's posted. And it was a big, long thing, but the items should only be added to that agenda when necessary to deal with an unforeseen occurrence or condition requiring immediate action. So if we have to act on it, we have to table it.
Well, we can table, this doesn't have, we're going by
I
the.
thought it was on the agenda. That's why.
Oh, no, I mean this thing, and I added it, because
Right.
we got it.
No, that's fine with me.
Yeah. So this is one of the things we finally got the thing, the rewrite written, and I'm looking at the snow coming and thinking, let's move it.
But we've already got this
It's gonna
policy,
happen
we've already had
without
this policy in
Yeah.
place.
Worst comes to worst, we follow the old policy until we get the new one in, which is a lot like it. Except that, of course, means somebody's gotta be pushing that tractor. Never mind, I'm sorry about that.
Right.
This book says we gotta push the snow blower. Oh, come on.
That's not on the agenda either.
Okay, that's not on the agenda either. Joel, you're going to say something about speakers for the info session.
Yes, I spoke to Laura Sibilia, who was with BDCC and as well with London Regional, with the idea of them coming down to our informational meeting for the feasibility study for water. And she would like the select board to request it rather than just me, which I agree with. I would like to give them enough notice so they can put together their presentation, which is why I would like it resolved tonight.
Any thoughts, Judy?
No?
What would their presentation would be for the water?
What do you mean for it, rather than
What would
against?
they be talking about?
The ramifications towards,
The positive ramifications of, like, we
Right.
heard from them when they came before, right? Did they
this
come and
isn't, but this
present
isn't to us, this is to
No, I
the town
understand
meeting.
that.
Yes, this is to the first town meeting on January 3rd, I believe.
3rd.
I think it wouldn't be fair to them to hold off letting them know they're eager to participate.
Lexi, you have any thoughts?
So they're gonna come and talk about, do they wanna come and listen to what we have to say, or do they wanna add
So
their?
they want to add information for
They wanna
us.
add their information, have they had,
This is what they do. Yes.
Do we have any idea what that would be?
Well, in
that
terms of
they're gonna-
economic development, in terms of the advantages to having water, financing available to get these studies done.
More studies? I
Not this
just,
feasibility study, financing to have that study.
So essentially what you're saying is they're going to be in support of the
Yes.
feasibility study for us to be thinking forward.
And what
They're
I'm
gonna give
concerned,
us a fair amount of
I have some
information.
concerns about that. I hate to be the bad guy here, but, you know, on the other side of all of this, who is gonna be, like, talking about the possible ramifications of the negative impact financially, or whatever other impacts there may be,
Why don't
to
you,
pursue
why don't you
a
find someone?
$3 to $5 million water project.
It's
We're
not
just,
3 to 5 million.
no, I just use that for a number.
It's a
Okay,
very-
750 to 1.8 then.
Okay.
Who is gonna be giving out that information at that meeting? I think this would be a
Why don't you
little
find
bit,
somebody?
because I don't feel the need to find anyone on either side. I understand.
So we're gonna have an
The only-
informational
the
meeting.
only- Please just let me say
I'm
what
sorry.
I'm trying to
Go
say.
ahead.
I'm all for the town looking into this, because I believe that the town plan has been worked on very, very hard. And there's a big component about water in there. But there's nobody talking about, you know, what's gonna happen down the road. I know we're just gonna have talk about a feasibility study, but this meeting's gonna be loaded for the positive aspects, which is fine, if it's all positive, as to who's gonna be, who would speak against, you know, something like the town water, or talk, you know, go against what these two women are gonna be talking about. That's what I'm trying to say.
Not necessarily, but there are people at those organizations whose specialty is public water supplies.
Right.
So they're going to give the advantages economically and structurally to a village to have this. And if we're going to have an informational meeting, shouldn't we have information?
From the people who are going to, you know, it's just getting more and more involved. I mean, it's getting more and more complicated. At first, when I first asked the question, could we put a question to the town of Jamaica at the town meeting? Do we want to spend the money on a feasibility study that got wrangled into a special meeting? And now we're asking for people to come and speak in favor of which is okay. It's just, I'm just wondering who would talk about the other side of that. If there is another side.
Anybody who wants to. Anybody
It's
in
going
the town.
it's going to be
anybody
a
in the
sort of a
town.
loaded meeting.
So like the
If you
pros and
ask
cons,
me.
the pros and cons. of
Yeah,
it,
the
you
pros
know.
and cons.
I'm sure they'll be
Actually-
able to answer questions on the pros and cons. I'm sure-
Actually, I think what I'm picking up is, and being one of the people that will not have a whole lot effect on me other than coming in and using stores, is that those who will live outside of the community, what's our role in this and how much are we going to be paying and that kind of thing.
And how much are you gonna be
And,
getting?
but I think what I hear Andy saying is that there is going to be a voice, because I think the community is going to be the voice of, are there, and I'm not speaking for Judy Flower, but there are people out in our 50 miles of roads who have their own wells and their own septics, and there is some feeling is why should we buy the water for 100 people or 100 homes or whatever our number is. So that is going to occur.
And they have every right for that to occur.
Yes,
And I'm
and
sure the
what I
people-
hear Andy saying is who's going to stand up for those people?
Well, whoever
other than-
asks a question about it will receive an answer from these people. They're
But it will
experts.
be,
But
just a
they-
minute, Joel, I'm speaking.
Well, you're always speaking, but I'm not
That's
allowed
fine.
to answer.
Then,
I'm
but
allowed to
not
answer.
while I'm speaking. I will stop and give you a chance.
Okay.
Definitely, not a problem.
Okay.
I think what they'll do if they do come is try to convince these people, and I think that they need to be able to voice their opinions about it.
And that's what this informational meeting is for people to voice their opinions in both directions. And for there to be information, unless you're thinking that BDCC and Wyndham Regional Commission are trying to sell us a product, which they're not. And who have also dealt with other towns who have both done water and not done water. So they'll be able to answer questions of why and why not. Now, is an informational meeting just going to be people who don't know that it's a good idea and people who don't know that it's a bad idea to argue with each other? Or is it a meeting where we can get as much information as we can to make a rational, intelligent, educated decision?
Okay, as long as the other side is allowed to speak.
Of course, but that's the whole point of it.
And not to be at some level coerced into their thinking. Because I see Andy really struggling
I
with
don't-
that point.
I don't, where I live or whatever, it doesn't matter. I have the same opinion as you. You know, I live down on Water Street. But there really isn't anyone beside board members who have to make a decision on this that will.
Well, the town is going to vote on this.
But we still have to push it forward. We still have to pursue the feasibility study. And whoever we talk about, whoever we elect or decide on to do that, they're gonna be pro town water.
That's why we're having a vote from the town rather than the select board, to decide whether the town wants to do this feasibility
At a
study.
special meeting. And
That's
this,
the
I
second.
only have one other thing to say about this. The reason I wanted it to be a town meeting was that's where the people show up to vote. They take that day off, town meeting day, they're the ones who vote. You know, I think this special meeting is gonna be a little bit lopsided. But I'm not supposed to project about things, I'm just getting this feeling that I'll go along with whatever the town wants, it's what you guys hired me to do. But it's not a one-sided thing. There's a bond, we're gonna be, I'm not gonna get into, I'm getting ahead of myself thinking of, just go to the informational meeting, which I think is premature. I think it should be town meeting day, but that's a done deal. That we just ask the question whether we even wanna spend the money on the study. That's not gonna happen, so. That was just a question I had, it's like, who is sort of the devil's advocate in this thing? If we need one, that's probably a bad term to use, but that's basically what it is.
Okay, I understand.
Can we hear from Veda from the planning commission at this point to see, because they're the planning commission who does the, requests everything that.
Did a lot of work on that.
Did a lot of work on the
plan.
town plan and everything like that. What are your feelings? I know, I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, and I shouldn't. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
I think the informational meeting, we should be prepared, we meaning you and us, that we have all the experts in the room. And to your point, the negative experts too. I mean, somebody to speak to how much it's going to cost and, the availability or not of funding, et cetera. But also whether it's Wyndham Regional. I mean, I think Wyndham Regional, the people you're speaking of, can speak to both those sides. But I think we should have, there is going to be a group after tonight's meeting, there will be a group of a company that's going to voice the positive sides because they've got some financial skin in the game. They're going to,
Right.
but hopefully they're going to say, well, here are some things you should be aware of and some negative aspects of it. But I think having many experts in the room is going to be a positive thing. And so if we invite Wyndham Regional, if we, come up with, I see your point. Who are these other people? We should think about the 10 experts, the 3 experts. I don't know who they are, but that's that's what I want to add right now.
Wyndham Regional, they've been around for a long time, and they do work with both sides, and they try to look at the whole picture.
Is this group that you're talking about, Wyndham Region? I think it's a separate.
2 groups. One is Brattleboro,
Spence.
BDCC.
Southern Vermont.
Development Credit Corporation.
Have we invited that?
Laura Sibilia was here, spoke on several different topics. at
But
several
she's
times.
Brattleboro, isn't she?
No, she's Wyndham Regional. She's also.
Oh, okay.
She's also BDCC, and she's also Sibilia.
Excuse me, Laura Sibilia works for Wyndham Regional?
She worked, no, she doesn't work for them. She
Oh,
works
that's
with
what I'm
them.
asking.
She works
But
with them in
she's
the past
also-
on the SEBCC.
Right,
Yes,
and
she
she's
doesn't work for them.
Right, and she's also the representative, I don't know what total townships, to the state legislature from Dover. So she's in the legislature on Dover. Wyndham Regional, you know about Wyndham Regional. Brattleboro
Are we
Development.
having a representative come from
Well,
Wyndham Regional?
She knows the people to ask to come, yes. She mentioned
Well,
some
we
people
could
to
do
me.
that. Ask them to attend.
We can, certainly.
Right now, the Brattleboro Development Corporation, that's the economic development part of it.
Right, that doesn't
I
belong to
feel-
Wyndham Regional, that's.
I know it doesn't.
That's a
That's what I was-
nonprofit.
I know that. I don't mind having Wyndham Regional here because I feel that they will be fair to everybody.
Right.
Brattleboro Development Corporation, I think their one main thing is, like Andy, they're gonna try to, like Judy said, force this on everyone.
Well,
No,
I don't think-
I don't
no,
know,
that's
force,
not-
maybe
No.
that was the wrong
They're
word.
gonna present information about what goes into development of townships economically. They're gonna give information about what benefits water can be from their perspective. They're not selling anything. They're a nonprofit
I know they're not
organization.
selling anything.
They're helping towns develop economically.
They're nonprofit, they're paid employees, but
They're not
that's fine.
They're not against you.
No, I didn't say that they were, but they have a long-term plan to, it's a good plan. It's like they have like a giant town plan like we have, which is very, very good. And I really didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to come across as disrespecting or dissing any of the work that's been done on the town plan. It's very impressive, but it's a huge part of it. And so I don't, for me to even bring this up was a little painful. And, Vada's my neighbor besides, so, but she's a reasonable woman and could understand me asking this question. But that's the only question I have about it, really.
I mean, if BDCC can come to us and explain or give us information on why it would be good for the town, why would it not be good for the town? Give us both aspects of everything, who would benefit, who wouldn't benefit, and stuff like that. Kind of do an overall thing, not just,
Right.
just
Try
so
to
that
sell us.
everybody can, and make it so it's fair to everybody.
That's why I think Wyndham Regional needs
And
also
Wyndham
to
Regional
be
too.
invited to this.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that, we're just one town in
Right.
southern Vermont, and I think a lot of other small towns are facing similar issues, and it might be
Oh, I'm sure they
helpful
are.
to get the perspective of, well, what is our neighbor doing, and
Right, and
how are
that's
you
what I-
dealing with this issue that's coming up?
And that's
because we're
what I'd
not-
like them to see
Yeah.
what they found from other towns and
Yeah.
why they did it and why they didn't do it and
Right.
stuff like that, just kind of an overall picture.
Yeah, so that, it might be
Yeah.
helpful to have that kind of perspective from
Yeah,
people
no,
that work
they
with
they
many
do
towns.
great work down in Brattleboro, and that way they can
Yeah.
help people in bigger towns that,
So let me, actually, you had something you wanted to know?
No,
No?
and that's all I have to say.
Let me fall back to the mundane. How much time are we gonna spend that night
That's
listening to pitches?
pretty,
They're pretty good about not, if you say they have 15, 20 minutes, they'll do their spiel in 15 or 20 minutes. I've seen that. I know they've been very good about it. Right, well, and they've got to speak fast, but, that was just an example.
you could give them some time.
Well, I want to make it balanced. We clearly are going to get, and I'm impressed with all the three engineers that we've talked to so far. They understand the realities from both sides. They've worked with other companies, with other towns rather. They've worked these problems out, so they're going to have a pitch as well. Having WRC, or I like the idea of Windsor Regional, because as you pointed out, they're like almost a county for us. But I don't want it to go all night long, because we will lose people.
I think we could put out, we could put out
Half hour?
a time frame.
Yes,
you know.
actually, there's a theory that says work fits the time appointed,
Right.
and that's very, very true.
And that is, if we appoint the time, we control it. If we
Yes.
don't appoint it, the work will fit in the entire rest of our lives.
We can be like the
You and I
Supreme
have too
Court.
much in
You
common,
can make a schedule.
training wise.
We could be like the Supreme Court and have red light and green light.
We should get some lights. It's Christmas, get red and green lights. I vote yes on the lights.
Red light's on, you're done.
So, in order to act on this, we first have to decide whether or not the time frame is such that we as a group need to act in in concert with the,
Well, when is our meeting?
the next one is the 11th of December. What's the word I'm looking for? You're helping me.
Right, and that's January, and then.
We don't want to be in defiance of the law rules.
And January 3rd.
Observe.
When is the meeting?
The meeting's on
The
January the
informational
3rd,
The third.
and our next select board meeting is the 11th.
Yeah.
How much
Doesn't give
time
a
will
lot of
they,
time.
I'd say this is an emergency.
how much time will they need to get?
I'm thinking if I had to put a presentation together on the 3rd of January, I'd sure like to know about it long before the 11th of December.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that we can, we should consider, I'm not saying we have to, I would entertain a motion for the select board to agree to suspend that particular portion of the policy which says we shouldn't act on things.
I move.
Thank you. Do I have a second? To suspend that portion. What's the law, what's the rule we're talking about?
You really need to make a motion?
Well, we gotta act to invite somebody.
Right, Right, but do you need to make a motion to make a motion
Well,
on
that's
something that wasn't on the agenda?
The more we look into this,
Okay.
I want to make a motion that we make a motion.
I think this is an administrative proceeding.
We've already
voted on the
I
fact,
certainly hope so.
you've already voted that you're gonna have a meeting.
Every time.
And all the necessities that go into the meeting don't have to be,
Let's call this a work.
don't need to be voted on.
Right, I think we can just
Sure.
say that we're going to invite
What he just said.
the two companies.
I take back my motion.
No, you didn't get very far.
If
So,
you did go through with that, I would have voted against it.
oh,
It's just contradicting what.
I know, I'm trying to figure out, that every time we open
But that didn't
that
happen, so.
meeting law.
Yeah, I mean, I think since, my feelings, I was gonna say it's basically the same thing that Greg said. That it really doesn't need a motion because we're already gonna have the meeting. We
Sure.
invite, if we wanna invite Joe Blow down the road, we can invite him if he wants to come.
They will be germane.
As an administrative suggestion, I think we should invite a representative from Wyndham Regional to be here also.
Also warrants.
The two,
And BDCC.
And yes,
BDCC and Wyndham
and
Regional.
Wyndham Regional,
They
yes.
work together.
I know that, I'm just trying to get it clarified. So they're gonna have the same amount of time or two separate times?
I like him.
Administrative.
Yes, I think they can have the same length of time, because they may just say, we don't, blah, 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 they're in favor.
All
But
right.
I do think that we need to have them, since they do support and also know what's happening within the other communities.
And you said BDCC, did you mean BDCC or SEDCC?
I spoke to BDCC, but they deal with SVECD.
So we are inviting.
We're inviting, I spoke to Laura Sebelia, who said that she would certainly want to have somebody from BDCC and somebody from Wyndham Regional, and perhaps somebody from the state who knows about financing and grants that are available.
I think that was in one of the bids that we had.
One of the.
That's the next step.
That was,
That's
that
like-
was, that's
There's
another step.
there's one of the
Right.
engineering companies.
Right, I think we don't need that right now.
Well,
And I think there was
they'll-
information about it in one of the booklets that they put out, and I can't remember if it was Otter Creek
I
or.
can't remember.
I think it was Otter Creek.
I think so.
All right, so for right now, we're going to add, are you going to contact them for us?
I will.
Could we ask Chris Anthony to come down here? Is that in his realm of,
We certainly can, we certainly
We're
can.
gonna have
He
these-
Right.
likes to ask-
He likes to come to these things. if-
Well, he likes to help,
Yes.
help towns. He helped us in
Yes.
flood, and I'm familiar with that. I think he's a fair guy. Not that the girls aren't, but they're unfair, but I would like Chris.
So WRC, Christian, and Laura Sebelia, and her entourage.
Right.
Entourage.
Okay, I didn't write entourage down, I was just moving right along. All right, so that will do.
Gonna kill me.
That's to the meeting for the 3rd of January,
Right.
2018. Okay, the next order of business is time for public concerns. Do we have any public concerns? Hearing none?
I don't know if makes sense to voice now or
Oh, you're part of
as
it.
part of your next item.
The
of
next item
agenda,
is the executive session.
which we do have a voice of concern. Not a concern, the word concern is coming off the agenda, but it's not necessarily concern.
Speak away.
So we as, and hopefully I'm not stealing your,
Go ahead, go for it.
we as the, not the planning commission, but the members that are here today would like to request to be invited into the executive session, partly with the same thinking that we've had just now, that we are part of this plan, and that I read it before, we are partners with the select board in that we basically want to be involved from the start. So it is, I don't know if the right term is legal, to invite others into the executive session. And we just feel that whether we have something to add or whether we just want to hear it all the way from the beginning. So when it comes time, if we do move forward with this, we have a thorough understanding of of the plans or or which company was picked and what they will do and things like that, so.
My expectation is that whoever we pick will certainly be able to speak on the night of January 3rd.
Right.
You have something on that, Tom?
I do,
We talked about this and we've done a little research.
because we want to make sure we're doing everything right.
Every time we open up, we find new little things,
Well, they're old things that.
old things that were new to us.
Yeah.
Attendance in executive session shall be limited to members of the public, which is the select board, and in the discretion of the public body, which is the select board, its staff, see, our clerical assistant, legal counsel, and persons who are subjects of the discussion or whose information is needed.
And I interpret that as, we're talking about a contract. We all agreed with your presentation that we should at least look into this. Now we're gonna be talking about the nuts and bolts of the contract, so it's contract, not water issues at that point. So we agreed to look into the water part, now we're just talking about the individual's contract and how one is more solid than the other. And I'm not entirely sure that it's a good idea to have more people involved with that than we already have on the select board, because we're gonna have to make a decision tonight with any luck. But I'm not sure we want to have extra people in it's a bad precedence to start having people who have interest, because everybody has interest in everything we do, but we have to draw some lines, and I think
I don't disagree with it, you made the decision. I think that your word precedence, I don't think that's an issue. I mean, but I think what you've stated and read there, I didn't know the exact definition. I knew that parties could be invited in that would have some, not if you're, obviously a personnel issue, but I was thinking that it was a little bit broader, my understanding of that you could invite in other people that, not to influence, but to be part of the discussion. So, but I wouldn't worry about setting a precedent. You guys vote on how you feel, and that's fine. I think we discussed it in our meeting. We thought it would be helpful and for us and hopefully for you, that we were there together, but I don't think any of us are offended in any way, however you decide.
And I think once we pick somebody, can I speak? I'm sorry.
Sure.
We will make sure that you are all aware of it, and that if you have questions or we have questions, you can come to our meetings, or,
Certainly.
to make sure that because you are the planning commission, you've done a lot of work. And to be involved in that part of the company that we pick, to work together and try to help us, and we'll help you and see where it goes.
But what we're doing here is we're spending money or talking about hiring someone. It's financial prudence, and that's in our purview.
Yeah, we're the
Our scope of
fiduciary.
duties. But if we thought that the planning commission could help us do a better job at that, we could ask them. That's what it says.
Right.
But in this case, I don't think
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
it would be a good idea. I think we could do it, like we always do.
Right.
And there's nothing, these contracts are all
Pretty basic.
technically public knowledge anyway.
Right, they're there.
We just
I
have
don't
to
know if you've
figure
got
out.
copies of them or not, did you?
I
The
haven't seen them
proposals, they're just
specifically,
proposals,
just
really.
here
The
in front of the
proposals right
meeting
now,
that
so
they're
after
all-
this
right.
tonight, you'll be able to,
And they go from one number to a little twice the low number.
I don't know. We're not offended. Whatever you'd like to do, we're just here to offer our help. Is all. We
Right,
have a
right.
strong
Exactly.
team now, and we're just here to support you in any way we can. So.
we do appreciate that.
You guys are tremendous. This becomes less worried about what are we going to do with water and more about which contract we're going to do into. That's the financial aspect, as he said. Did you want to say something to this?
No, just that I think that
Okay.
what has been said here is a good idea.
Joel, did you want to say something?
I just want to have it clear on the record that even though we are responsible for financial matters, we're turning over this responsibility to the town and their vote to decide whether or not to spend the money. We may be deciding on how much of a contract we support by selecting one contractor. But we're not voting to spend the money in any way. The town is going to vote to spend the money on January 9th.
The town will vote to move forward with the project, but we need to whether.
We sign the check, correct. But the town will, if the town says, yes, we should spend the money, then we will sign the check.
Yes, and we're going to give them a presentation that we just discussed, with the information from whom we decide tonight.
Correct.
By the way, we're going to end up voting in public, so if you want to hang around after the executive session, I don't know if you want to stay up that late.
We'll see it on green.
Won't be.
You can see it on the
Won't be that exciting an outcome, trust me.
But, all right, so
Will you, he's not going to,
technically he has to, because we're not going to adjourn, we're going to go into a session, we'll have to come back out of session for the vote, because the vote must be in public. Alrighty then, any other comments? I'd accept a motion to enter executive session to discuss the contract options on the possible municipal water feasibility study.
I'll make that motion.
We have to follow the rules.
I know.
I'm sorry, but we
Okay,
had that
go ahead.
program and
Yep.
I'm going right by it.
Yeah.
She's had way too much time on her hands, she's reading this
No, I
stuff.
don't have a lot of time on my
Coloring it in.
hands.
I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the town's choice of contractors would clearly place the town and the potential contractors at a substantial disadvantage because the select board risks disclosing its negotiating strategy if it discusses the proposed contract terms in public, which is the first of two motions. Do you want to read my motion?
No, I've got it right here.
Okay.
Do you need to do the second one to the first one?
I think you have to pass the first one before we.
Do we agree, do I have a motion that says, we just move
I
to
just
say that premature general public knowledge will regarding,
Right.
that's the reason for entering into
Right.
executive
That has
session?
to be voted on first.
Correct, all in favor say aye.
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 Time out. Do I have a second for that motion?
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll second it.
We have a second, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
I
abstentions? One abstention?
Yeah.
Okay, and I have two ayes. Lex, I do
I
hear.
said aye.
So we have 3 ayes. Okay, that motion carries.
Okay.
Second motion.
I move that we enter into executive session to discuss the town's contract with one of Dufresne Group, Beck Engineering, or Otter Creek Engineering under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1A of the Vermont statutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
One opposed. Motion carries. All right, executive session. All right, we are out of the executive session, back into the November 27th Select Board meeting. We've had a discussion about the selection of the firm to make the presentation on January the 3rd to go forward with the feasibility study. I would entertain a motion to select one of the three. I have Judy.
I move that we accept, or is that the right word? Accept the proposal for Dufresne, is that their?
Yes.
Just Dufresne Group to present for our January 3rd town meeting informational meeting concerning the water system.
Excellent.
Just yell.
And use whatever language you want to in writing it
That
down.
sounded good. That sounded good.
I'm writing fast. I used to do shorthand, but not anymore. Okay.
Do I have a second for the Dufresne Group?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the proposal of the Dufresne Group, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. We have
Oops.
aye, aye, I hear 3 ayes, Alexa?
Yeah, I said aye.
Okay, so the motion carries. And would you, since you've been in contact with them,
That's all right.
would you be willing to write the individuals and tell
So I
us the
keep
results
this
for
for tomorrow,
tomorrow?
right?
I'll be glad to do it.
Okay, and then Joel will contact individual groups and tell them of our decision this evening.
I think that should be your job.
Well, I asked him if he wanted me, he's been in contact with all of them, he's done a lot of work. By the way, this is very well done, by the way. But I, as the chair, I don't mind doing it.
That's good.
Whatever's appropriate.
What would the board like?
Is someone gonna contact Chris Campany?
He's gonna be doing that. That's the other end of it.
Right.
So he's doing, just.
No, I knew that one.
Oh,
I knew that people were being contacted.
Yes, I'll contact.
If he can, that'd be great, if not.
all right, if you can do that. I heard one suggestion that the chair make these contacts.
It's okay with me.
We have 1.5.
Not
I
really
think
that
it should
good.
come from.
Chair.
Yeah.
Done. Chair will contact 3 groups.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think that's more
Sure.
efficient.
That sounds like it makes sense. I just figured he's been in contact with
Right.
me.
I don't mind either way.
Can I just ask a question about, without the manual in front of me, can the chair delegate certain tasks?
He could. Yeah, there's a provision in there for delegating different things to different members, but
To the vice chair, or to the
Oh.
other, no, I'm not asking for
Yeah.
anything, but to other select board members?
yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I just don't know why.
I just wanted to know. I was aware of it.
You
No,
can do it.
no, I don't know. I would if you need me to.
Well, you've got a real job. I'm sorry,
I
we're
keep saying
getting
that.
off track here.
It shouldn't, doesn't have any much weight on my job here.
All right. I will make this contact. Any further items that we need to cover?
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Any further discussion about adjourning?
No?
All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Forgot we were still on camera.